We continue decoding Kevin Kelly's book Excellent Advice for Living. This is the final part, focusing on Kelly's advice for everyday life. Despite being a tech enthusiast, Kelly's suggestions extend beyond learning and work. They are akin to a father's guidance to his children, often delving into mundane matters. However, within these counsel, there's a crucial theme: risk. Every parent fears their children getting into trouble. Even in my 40s, my dad still cautions me about ensuring my documents aren't expired, being wary of scams, and speaking cautiously. Kelly shares a similar sentiment, but what sets his advice apart is the clear distinction between controllable and uncontrollable matters. The essence of Kelly's advice can be summarized by 3 principles. 1. For uncontrollable things, maintain the lowest expectations. 2. Although uncontrollable, there are patterns, and understanding them can work in your favor. 3. Actively engage with things you can influence, because simple actions can yield significant results. This echoes a Stoic philosophy, but Kelly leans toward optimism, believing things tend to develop in a positive direction. Simplification is a powerful method to enhance control. Kelly suggests, your time and space are limited. Remove, give away, throw out anything that no longer gives you joy in order to make room for those that do. It's not about minimalist living, but a simple calculation. Unused possessions occupy time and space that could be utilized for joy. Young people sometimes lack this cost awareness. The reality is, as long as something exists, it incurs some form of consumption. Kelly says, the natural state of all possessions is to need repair and maintenance. What you own will eventually own you. Choose selectively. In simpler terms, be a master of things, not their servant. Kelly advises, avoid wearing a hat that has more character than you do. Always, people are more important than AI. Things must be secondary. You must be primary. If you have the confidence, you might as well do something good for yourself. For example, learn how to take a 20-minute power nap without embarrassment. And occasionally, bend the rules a bit. If a place supposedly doesn't allow you in, Kelly says it's okay to move through a place you may not be permitted, act like you belong there. I can imagine a scene where Kelly leads his child backstage, pretending to be staff. While small infractions may cultivate character, avoid real trouble. Kelly is concerned about reckless actions, especially when aware of danger. He states, when working with electricity, volts hurt, but amps kill. In essence, higher voltage might be manageable, but high amperage is absolutely dangerous. Kelly also fears phone scams, but offers a simple solution. Assume anyone asking for your account information, for any reason, is guilty of scamming you unless proven innocent. The way to prove innocence is to call them back, or log into your account using numbers or a website that you provide, not them. Don't release any identifying information while they are contacting you. Kelly even suggests phones aren't for making significant decisions. Don't ever respond to a solicitation or a proposal on the phone. The urgency is a disguise for a scam. Remembering Kelly's earlier point, it's hard to cheat an honest person. It's crucial to remain cautious, especially in larger scams. Cautiousness is also a form of self-discipline. Impulse spending is a dangerous behavior that needs restraint. Kelly advises, never use a credit card for credit. The only kind of credit or debt that is acceptable is debt to acquire something, whose exchange value is extremely likely to increase, like a home. Accepting some losses is inevitable, and the right attitude is acceptance. Kelly suggests, when you lend something, pretend you are gifting. If it is returned, you'll be surprised and happy. In life, where you have limited control, it's best not to harbor expectations. Sometimes, you need reconciliation with yourself. Kelly says, things do not need to be perfect to be wonderful. Especially weddings. In simpler terms, let it go. The following phrase might sound familiar. The greatest killer of happiness is comparison. If you must compare, compare yourself to you yesterday. This contrasts sharply with Kelly's advice on work, emphasizing the importance of approaching tasks with significant impact on the world. The reality is, you can't compete in every aspect. There are places where reconciliation is necessary. However, if you understand patterns, you can make even mundane matters slightly better. Kelly's suggestions include choosing the fastest checkout line at the supermarket. The quickest checkout line will be the one with the fewest people no matter the size of their carts. He also advises, don't wait in line to eat something famous. It is rarely worth the wait. And, don't grocery shop while hungry. I strongly agree. If my family eats at a nearby restaurant before shopping, we buy significantly fewer unnecessary items. Here's a very useful one. If you want something to get done, ask a busy person to do it. This is a profound insight into human nature. Busy people get things done. They might be tight on time, but they'll find time to help you. Idle individuals with nothing to do often lack the habit of completing tasks. Kelly offers a best investment advice. Average returns, maintained for above-average periods of time, will yield extraordinary results. Buy and hold. This is a classic long-term perspective. Kelly's advice on buying a house is: the general strategy for real estate is to buy the worst property on the best street. The potential appreciation of real estate is primarily determined by location, not the house itself. Here's a light-hearted one. Your best photo portrait will be taken not while you are smiling, but when you are quiet a moment after you have been laughing. Use a photographer who makes you laugh. This follows a pattern. Now, let's move on to more advanced maneuvers. You can actively influence situations in your daily life. Sometimes, just a sentence can secure a better deal. Kelly says, when you don't know how much to pay someone for a particular task, ask them, what would be fair? And their answer usually is, rather than asking, how much should I pay you? The word fair subtly influences the other party's pricing. Kelly also says, the best time to negotiate your salary for a new job is the moment after they say they want you and not before. Here's a magical one that I've never thought of, but it makes sense. Don't take it personally when someone turns you down. Assume they are like you. Busy, occupied, distracted. Try again later. It's amazing how often a second try works. In essence, if you're not too thin-skinned, most people hesitate to reject you twice in a row. Even if the world is dangerous, being actively involved is far better than being passively reactive. One of the core spirits in Kelly's book is positivity. Engage positively with people, be proactive in your actions, and explore actively. Being proactive is always better than being reactive. As a practice for active exploration, let's listen to Kelly's advice on vacations. Kelly says, if you are stuck in life, travel to a place you have never heard of. Don't see vacations as mere relaxation. Treat them as safe adventures. You might even anticipate some incidents during your vacation. A vacation plus a disaster equals an adventure. Kelly recently mentioned a concept on Tim Ferriss's podcast, called the time machine, suggesting everyone can now travel back in time by visiting an underdeveloped area. Kelly lived in one of the remotest villages in Afghanistan. They had no electricity, worked from sunrise to sunset, and the streets were filled with feces. The local men only had 2 jobs: farming or being blacksmiths, while women were restricted to housewives. This was the typical life for most people throughout history. Experiences like these can be intellectually profound. Kelly says, on vacation, go to the most remote place on your itinerary, first bypassing the cities, and then return to the big city at the end. You'll maximize the shock of otherness in the remote, and then later you'll welcome the familiar conveniences of a busy city on the way back. This is clearly not the checklist-style tourism of urban dwellers. It's a game for brave souls who read books and travel thousands of miles. Kelly says, to have a great trip, head toward an interest rather than to a place. Travel to passions rather than destinations. Hence, you should travel light. Don't carry unnecessary baggage. Kelly says, your enjoyment of travel is inversely proportional to the size of your luggage. This is 100% true of backpacking. It is liberating to realize how little you really need. With this explorative spirit, you can travel without leaving your home. Kelly suggests, purchase the most recent tourist guidebook to your hometown or region. You'll learn a lot by playing the tourist once a year. Here, Kelly's various excellent pieces of advice are essentially shared with you. I intentionally kept this last one until the end, because it had a significant impact on me. I'm sure I heard this passage somewhere before, but now it seems that I have a deeper understanding. Kelly says, "A wise man said, 'Before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. At the first gate, ask yourself, is it true? At the second gate ask, is it necessary? At the third gate ask, is it kind?'" Before your next speech or social media post, perhaps you can ponder these 3 gates. Even if what you say is true, it doesn't necessarily have to be said. Even if you strongly believe it's necessary, if it's not kind, it's best left unsaid. These 3 gates will make your words more worthy of respect. Kelly provided 450 pieces of advice, and the ones I selected are also things I wish I had known earlier. Let's encourage each other.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.